Hey everybody, welcome to Magic Mind. You are here, my friends, because you know that magic is an art form with the ability to move and entertain people like no other. But you know that developing this skill requires diligent practice and a detailed understanding of the craft. So, my goal with this show and company is to provide you with a community to introduce you to the people and ideas that will help you develop your magic. With me today, Clarke. I've practiced his name for a long time, but you know what? At the end of it, I'm gonna go for Clarke. G, say hello.
Just go for it. Go for the easy way. That's why I would say.
Hang on.
But yeah, no, I'm
Geraint.
great. That was one hell of an intro. I'm
Geraint?
impressed.
Geraint?
Geraint.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Alright. Your intro.
I think it's only myself and my mother who can say it correctly.
Well, you
So
know what? One day I'll get it. Give me another couple years. Magician, blogger, voice actor, illusionist team member, and marketer. It'd be easier to come up with a list of things that he doesn't do. Some of his tricks that he's been able to release with Illusionist, Jack Black Fly, and Latch, which are three amazing tricks to have ever hit the magic community. According to his Illusionist bio, he loves candlelit dinners, walks on the beach, and raspberry schnapps. But more importantly than all of that, we actually have the same birthday.
are you April 29th?
I am. Yes.
Wow, that's crazy. I've never met anyone with the same birthday as me.
Well, I wish I could say the same, but you're
People,
actually my second.
yeah, actually, that bio isn't true. So, Dave, our webmaster,
Yeah.
um, I mean, long walks on the beach are great. Maybe I do agree. Maybe it is me. I don't know. But he wrote that because I wouldn't provide him with a bio because I was going through like a phase where I thought, okay, I'm going to be the guy behind the scenes. I'm going to be cool and brooding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he decided he had enough. He needed to get my name on the site, and he wanted to write for me. So I don't even know what a raspberry snaps is
Me
because
either.
we in the UK it's not a thing.
Oh,
Maybe,
I
and he's
figured
in
it was a
Canada.
UK thing. It's just one of those things that us Americans will never know.
No, he's Canadian, so it's probably like huge up there,
Ah.
like being polite.
Well, there you have it. One of those little behind the scene facts that you can only get from magicmindcenter.com. All right. You do a lot of things, and in my experience, people who have a little expertise in a lot of things, they tend to overlap well and they can come up with insights that other people can't. So, for example, you're a marketer and a magician. That's probably got to be really useful for marketing yourself. So, if you don't mind, I would love to talk about that and what magicians can do to better market themselves.
It kind of falls into two camps. I always say this to begin with, which is that there's no problem with just being a performer. And these days it's trendy. Magicians think it's trendy to be a creator, where in all honesty it's not. So the first rule of branding when you're a magician, I guess, is to decide what your product is and don't half-ass it. Don't go halfway to being a performer and then also try and push yourself as a creator. I think you have to decide what the outcome is, what the goal is, and go for that. And over time, then you can branch out into other areas. You can branch out into creating, you can branch out into stage or okay, I'm going to offer a kid show now too to expand my offering to the client base. So I think you decide on your goal first, whether it's a performer or a creator, and then go for it. I see so many magicians, especially, being in the position that I am, I get to experience a lot of magicians from around the world online, their online presence. And it's unfortunate. I want to help everyone, which is why I started a blog. But yeah, there's some huge mistakes. So I don't want to ramble. If you are a performer, you need to build a base of laymen as a social following because it's pointless advertising your product to your competitors if all you've got as fans are the magicians. And they're the easiest fans to convert. That's why people, always invite magicians to their Facebook page because they're like-minded people. They're interested in the same things you are. But it's not necessarily the right thing to do if you want a career in magic. Um, if it's a hobby, great, go for it. Get as many fans in as many different areas as you want. But if you want this to eventually become a career that pays your bills, it's not the right place to start. And the other mistake they make is pricing. You hear a lot of people showing off and saying, "Oh, hey, I got paid £1,000 for this gig or $1,000 for 20 minutes work at the Ritz." It's not the case for most magicians. Residencies can't afford to pay you that money on a Thursday night in a family restaurant. So you want to set expectations. I only went after, 5-star venues when I was performing. I did cocktail bars like No Sign Wine Bar in Swansea and, Revolution Cocktail Bar on like Sunday nights and Friday nights. And then I saved the daytimes and Saturday nights for weddings at 5-star hotels. So I knew what my price could be. So yeah, that's what I would say is there's no shame. Don't think that you're somehow having a race to the bottom, because there's three things you could be. You're either the first, the best, or the cheapest. So if there's already someone better than you in the area and you're not the first, then why not be the budget alternative? Why not charge them $200 a night? Why not charge $50 an hour, especially if you're just getting into it? There's no shame in starting off at a small price.
That's great. There's someone I follow, Gary Vaynerchuk, and he preaches, if you're an artist, find a businessman. And if you can't find a businessman, what you're talking about is just as good, figuring out the business yourself. And unfortunately, I think it's something that a lot of artists or magicians don't think about. If magic is your passion, the only way to monetize it is to understand the monetization process and how you can brand yourself and market yourself and figure out that aspect of it.
There's also people rush monetizing product. So they think that they can turn 10 followers into 10 customers. And that isn't the case ever. So what people want to be focusing on is building a following first, and then giving them value first. And then through reciprocation, there's some loyalty there between you and that fan base then to come back. I'm not even at the point of monetizing my following, and I'm 10 years into the game. So you've kind of got to build, and obviously I do make, money from selling my effects and things like that. But in terms of, the amount of following I've got to how much I could monetize it, it's not there. So everyone has to think about it as a delayed investment. I'm gonna be working on my blog for the next couple of years because I want to eventually write a book, and I could write a book now, but it wouldn't have the same impact as it would as if I slowly invested, one blog a week for the next 5 years and built that following over time, and they got all that information for free, and they enjoyed that information, they enjoyed reading. And it's the same with your career, with your business. You want to build that following and not try and monetize it straight away.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And when you were talking about the giving value before you monetize or receive anything, I 100% see that in what you're doing. You have the marketing email list, and as soon as you sign up, you get like a $50 value bundle of just magic effects. And I got it. It's very worth it. It was honestly really, really interesting that you were doing that.
I think one guy actually complained about that, which was crazy to me.
Excuse me?
He signed up, he got the email with all the free stuff, and then I emailed out a blog post on how I get internet for free. And his response was, "Oh my God, I can't believe you were sending me all of these marketing emails." And it was one free blog post. I wasn't even selling anything.
Wow.
So if anything, it was more free content. So, and it's okay, because out of the hundreds and hundreds of subscribed, it's okay to get one person that doesn't like the way they do things, and those aren't the people that you need anyway.
Right.
So, you've got to learn to, unfortunately, you've got to learn to live with that. People are quite outspoken.
In terms of the blog, if you go down to the bottom, you'll see that it's sorted into different categories, and three of the biggest categories are marketing, lifestyle, and fitness. So I can only assume that these are interests or passions of yours in your life, right?
I think everything falls under the lifestyle when you get really passionate about it. But I had some old blog posts. I used to write for Men's Fashion magazine. So I used to be really fat. There's no other way of saying it. I used to be ridiculously fat.
I didn't expect that to be the ending of the sentence. I used to be really successful, really fat. I didn't think I expected that
Just
one.
super fat. So, so, I once walked into a retail store and I needed a pair of jeans, and I held them up and I said, "Do you have these in?" And the guy was like, "No." I didn't even
Oh,
finish my sentence. That's
oh man.
that's when I realized how fat I was. He knew what I was about to ask, and that the answer was definitely not. Um, but yeah, so I used to write fitness blogs for Men's Fashion Magazine, kind of detailing my weight loss, and I went down from um, I don't know what the American equivalent is. I'll work it out now, but uh, I was 23 and a half stone. So 23.5 times 14 pounds. I was 329 pound,
Oh my god.
which was huge. That was the biggest I'd been, and I kind of wanted everyone to follow that journey. So I started writing those blogs. So they're still there, although I don't really focus on that too much now because my magic audience grew bigger and they don't really care about a protein shake. On the whole,
Hmm.
it's still valuable information there from things that I've done.
That's fascinating. How did you get that job for writing? It was a magazine, men's fashion.
Yeah, MFM Men's Fashion Magazine. So this is why I think my career is quite diverse. Is I used to be an affiliate marketer. I wrote something for a client. His name was George Brown. He was selling something called Google Sniper, which was how to get affiliate sites ranked at the top of Google through SEO tactics. And I wrote the second version and supported his personal coaching clients for that. So help them do it, help them build those sites. And I was fresh out of uni, so it's like my first job in marketing. I learned a lot about snake oil salesman. Um,
Yeah.
Although for legal reasons, I'm not going to say there's a comparison between him and that term.
Sure.
But so I met a guy there who was also doing some work for him uh, called Paul McGregor. He had that fashion magazine as like a side business. And then I just started writing. He asked me if I would write for him. I wrote for him, ended up writing for people like Aston Martin and getting sponsored by PokerStars through it.
Wow.
So it was a really cool segment of my life. But at one time, I had to give it up just because it was just too time intensive.
Sure. Sure. And when you gave it up, what were you looking to do? What were you
I think
unable to do at the time because it was time intensive?
I think at the time I was moving because that was actually in Bristol. At the time, I was moving back to Wales, and I was trying to focus more on my magic career. So that's when I started to bring out downloads, self-produced downloads on Theory 11's Wire, which was kind of the kickoff for my magic career. I'd already had a book out, which Daniel Madison sold on his old site, Devil's Advocate, when I was 19. But that Theory 11 break was kind of the one that made me think, okay, this could become a career.
Hmm. What were some of your first products? Because I mean, a lot of people know what you do now, but I'd be interested to see where it all started.
Yeah, my first one was a card magic ebook called Devious, which people can get for free if they go to my blog, geraintclarke.com, click on free stuff, sign up. There'll be an autoresponder email. It'll be in there. There's actually some really good card magic in there. One of the effects in there is fly, which
Yes.
is one of my favorite ever card tricks. So if people have heard of that, download it. That's where it came from. But when I was 19, I sent it to Daniel Madison, and he loved it. He was starting a site at the time called Devil's Advocate, way before he worked for Theory 11, way before he worked for E. That was his baby. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to be one of the three or four artists that were featured on there. So It's dated now. You'll see an emo haircut in a lot of the photos. So if you do have that PDF, if you remember it, it's still got some value in it. Although some things that I no longer do. But yeah, I got my first tattoo as well on my wrist.
At that time?
It says Devious. Yeah, at that time, yeah. So I think it's my first ever tattoos. Yeah, I was 19, and the sales from that um, actually got me an unconditional acceptance into university.
Wow.
So proving that I could make, like I was self-taught on Adobe InDesign. I made that PDF. I set up eJunkie. I sold it online. Um, had good reviews from it as well. That entire process was enough to negate the fact that I didn't have full A levels in the UK, which is kind of like the exams that you need to pass to get into university. So I went in, the University of Life. I ended up getting an unconditional just through doing something. So yeah, that was kind of the first ever product. And the first one that people might remember is one called Fate. So it doesn't work now because Apple changed their iOS system, but back in the day, a spectator would shuffle the music on their phone. They would remember a track, a track genuinely at random, and you'd be able to read their mind and tell them what track they were thinking of. And then they'd be able to skip, and you could tell them the next track on skip, and they'd remember the next. You could tell them the next track. So it was a mentalism piece, but with an organic item, and I think that was kind of what broke out as the runaway success that started my career in publishing magic.
How would you market those things? So you had all these products out and you had done all that, but it seems like at one point when you throw it into the market, you need eyes to look at it. So did you have a way of doing that, or did you just kind of let it naturally develop?
Yeah, so this is a good tip for some other people as well. I had a Facebook actual profile, like a personal profile. I deleted it. I got rid of all my school friends, got rid of all the people I'd worked with, all the people that just posting photos of their babies.
Yeah.
And I decided if I want to actually do this, I need to fully 100% commit. So I started a new profile and I added 99 people per day from the Theory 11 fan page. So anyone that was liking photos, anyone that was commenting, I was adding them as a friend. And the time investment of, if they'd email me and say, hey, I don't know you, who are you? I would just say, hey, I'm interested in magic as well. Making new friends is part of that. And hopefully you don't mind the ad. If you do, feel free to remove me. And I had a calendar and I would have it on the wall. I'd add 99 friends per day from those fan pages. And I built up my Facebook following. And if people go back to my Instagram, I did the exact same thing. And I just posted a photo per day of like a deck of cards next to a morning coffee, next to a latte, next to a flat white, next to an iced coffee, a deck of cards at the beach. And I had brand guidelines. It would always have to have a certain filter. It would always have to be cards in the photo. It would always have to promote the lifestyle of cards. It had to promote the finer things in life as well. If I was on a beach or driving a fancy car or something like that. So it was really intentional and something that people can copy to this day. And I worked on that for months and months and months. And when I got to a certain point and I released it, I already had a base following of people that could have eyes on it on social media. And then when those sales started to roll in, it hit the bestseller list within a few hours on the wire at the time. And then the actual company then Theory 11 got behind it because they saw that the sales were incredible and the reviews were flowing in. And I remember on that day that it did come out, I actually personally messaged everyone in my Facebook chat that were currently online. And when they were done, I did all the people that were offline. And it was, hey, whatever your name is, I've got a new trick out. I'd love it if you could check it out. I'm so sorry for bothering you. If you're annoyed by this, feel free to ignore it. If you don't like the effect, but you still want to help out, feel free to rate it with as many stars as you see fit. And people really got behind it. The ratings were going up through the roof, and then the sales were going up through the roof. So people can use that as a formula. It totally works.
That's amazing. And you know what? It's funny. I actually did the exact same thing on Facebook. I 3,000 friends from like 60. I did the exact same thing. I purged my friends list from like 300, all the high school friends who weren't active or weren't posting things or I didn't even really know, and built up to like 3,000 of only magicians. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
And I
and you've
I
done it the
did
right way.
exactly. Yeah, and it's really helpful to have that network. One thing that it let me do was I wanted to write some articles for the Magic Mind website, but I didn't necessarily. Actually, I know you saw this. You commented on it. I'm not the best writer, so I randomly on Facebook reached out. Hey, do I have any magician friends who like to write? DM me, and that got an insane amount of engagement, like 100 likes, 30 comments, 20 DMs, and I'd never seen anything like that. But it's just having that network around you that's so helpful when you're trying to build something or do whatever.
And the beauty of it as well is it's free.
Yeah,
It's absolutely free. You don't have to spend any money. You don't have to have money to build that following. So you've just got to, the time investment is all you're spending.
exactly. I meant to ask you about this when we were talking about. Um, well, I guess we haven't really changed topics, but when you were at Theory 11, you started producing products. Take us between there and, I guess, getting a phone call from Illusionist, or
Yeah, so I never really worked for Theory 11. I just did wire
right,
downloads, which
right.
was super fun, and I needed it at the time. But I was working really hard, and like you said, you're a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk.
I am.
So his big thing is work. Nothing beats hard work.
Yeah.
And I was getting up in the morning, 5 a.m. I was going to the gym with all my bag packed and my lunch prepped, leaving the gym, going to work, working an office job all day, coming home at night, dedicating some hours to practice, dedicating some hours to reading. On the weekends, I was paying out of my own pocket to get my friends to meet me and film me. Rory Adams was the guy filming it. So I just hustled for months, just got everything done for months. I must have reshot trailers like 10, 15 times just to make sure it was perfect. And I still worked that office job. I ended up, it's actually, I've told this story before, but people seem to really like it. I was at an all staff day and I knew that Illusionists were in the market for a new marketing manager. So I reached out to Lloyd, who's a good friend, and I said, put me forward for it. He'd mentioned, some of the things that I'd done, some of the accolades that I had within that world, within that professional world of having an office job. They asked me for a couple of ideas as to how I would change their company, and I submitted a PDF, again, which I worked through the night on. I forgot about it, didn't hear from them for 2 weeks. Obviously, they were conferring and things were going on. And I get a phone call from Pete Turner at an all staff day. And everyone, knows Pete Turner, doesn't sugarcoat it. He's like, yeah, Geraint, because he can't say my name, in his Bradford accent. He's like, yeah, Geraint, I'm telling you, quit that fucking job, mate. Quit that job. So I was like, what do you mean? He said, I've just found out from Lloyd that they're going to give you the job. He said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to quit your job. Blackpool is in 2 days. We're going to get out of here early. I'm going to turn up to your hotel. We're going to go to Primark, which is a really cheap clothing store in the UK. He said, we're going to fill a duffel bag full of clothes. We're going to jump on the train and get to Blackpool Magic Convention and have a good time. So I threw all my designer suits in the bin at my hotel, went to Primark, spent, £200 on frankly too many clothes, and got to Blackpool. And my heart was in my mouth. I was like, did I just do the right thing? I've just quit. I told work that I would work the rest of the month from home. but I found out my contract was only a week. It was only a week's notice period, so they shot themselves in the foot, really. So yeah, I left, and then I was really nervous. Lloyd was like, "Congratulations," but I still hadn't heard from Brad, still hadn't heard from Adam. I wanted that to be official before I started telling everyone. And it was kind of on the Saturday then when Brad sent me an email and he was like, "Here's your contract. Welcome aboard. Have a drink on me." So yeah, it was I don't know, really a really exciting time in my life to be able to quit in front of the whole company and do something spontaneous, with a friend pushing me over the edge.
That's a great story.
Yeah, thank you. I kind of feel like a lot of people think that those things aren't achievable. Those things like I think I heard Elon Musk say that dream jobs are real jobs. So you've got to set your sights on it. And I saw an opportunity come up, and instead of feeling kind of like insecure, I just thought, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I don't currently have that job. So the worst that can happen is that I still don't have it. And I stayed up, all night working on that PDF and sent through those ideas. So I think there's a lesson in there to people, which is that sometimes you've just got to bet on yourself, and it's not arrogant. You've got to believe in yourself and work hard for yourself. And sometimes it pays off.
Of course. So at that time, were you performing?
I actually wasn't. I did most of my performing from the ages of 16 to maybe 22. Through having an office job, I didn't really need money. So I only took gigs that were word of mouth. I only took gigs that were like once every 2 months, there would be a wedding. Or I would wait for someone else that hired me in the past, like Admiral Insurance in the UK, to call up for a corporate event, for a corporate party. So I wasn't doing a lot of gigs because I had the security of a salary at the end of every month. But yeah, most of my performance came from the ages of 16 to kind of like 22, 23.
Okay. And I remember, this is actually my introduction to your whole blog, was a post about starting to perform again. And now I don't know if you're performing a lot now, but at some point you started to perform again. And it was really interesting to read that. So if you don't mind, would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think people look up to everyone on Team E as the kind of like the pinnacle of what they want to achieve in the magic industry, and we're just all regular guys. So when we release a trick, I kind of felt guilty. I was like, I did the Sven Pads trailer. So I was on the Sven Pads trailer. I was talking about Sven Pads. We'd gone out all day and we'd got performances of it. But I was really self-critical of my own performances. When I watched them back, I was cringing. I hated it. And I thought, there's so many better performers out there than me. I kind of don't deserve the position of telling them how good of a tool it actually is. I don't deserve that right because it could have been done better. And I used to be a total move monkey, just performing Dan and Dave style slides. And I was bold, and I'd do like Chaos Card Through Window by Sean Beard. Didn't care about being caught. Tried to get slipping cards into people's pockets as we were chatting, dropping cards, palmed behind their back, and then moving them backwards so they're standing on it, and then revealing it as it turning up under their foot. And as I thought back to, how my gigs used to go and how those performances on the street were coming out, I was really rusty. And I thought, okay, this is the time now. This is the time to offer free gigs, to go offer some of my time for free, to actually polish my skills and bring me back up to that level. So I don't do any paid events, although I have been asked. I pick causes or things that I want to do in my local community that mean something to me, a way of me giving back. But, in a roundabout way, it comes back to me in the fact that I can polish my skills and become a better performer. And there's two very different distinctions between a performer and a magician. A magician is someone who can technically achieve what needs to be done. And I think a performer is, you know, someone who can do that in an incredibly entertaining way.
Fair enough. Now, when you were only doing gigs that you found through word of mouth, what would you have done? Knowing what you know now, if you were really trying to get as many gigs as possible, what sort of tactics would you be using?
So I think that word of mouth is very underrated. A lot of recommendations for restaurants come through word of mouth. A lot of recommendations for films come through word of mouth. Even social media statuses recommending something from a friend is technically word of mouth. So what I would recommend is that you have to get out there. You have to think about, okay, who can actually book me? So if you want to be doing weddings, which I've heard in America isn't really a thing. Like over in the UK, weddings are where magicians cut their teeth. That's
Huh.
the kind of the priority of events for magicians here is getting wedding gigs.
I don't really know, but what I do know is that people spend a ton of money on weddings. Maybe more in the US than anywhere else, but people tend to go really overboard.
I think that's another reason why I wanted to do weddings at the time and why I think people should go for weddings. They're often done on a Saturday, so everyone can attend. So you can have another job or you can have gigs through the week as well. Often, I mean, the average in the UK, I read the other day, spent on a wedding is £27,000.
Oh wow, that's
Probably
pretty
about,
overboard too. Okay, I guess you guys do it big as well.
yeah, it's probably about $35,000, which is an incredible amount. So if you're charging, you know, £400-500 for the hour, of course they're going to pay it because they're paying a photographer £2,000 or $2,500 for the day. So you seem like a steal. You're the evening entertainment. Those venues, they have a context of value. People will value you more at those events. Often, if you're a nice enough person, you get offered free food. People are having a good time. They've got drinks in them, but they're not aggressively drunk like they might be in nightclubs and things.
Yeah.
So you've kind of got a really good mix there. They're probably the best place to go. But I would say to people, who books weddings? Well, brides book weddings, but so do event planners at venues. And the venue is always the first thing on everyone's list. So if you want to get in at ground level, you have to go book meetings with wedding coordinators and event planners at big venues. And you need to get on their preferred list. And in the UK, I asked to be on a preferred list for weddings at the Celtic Manor Resort where they held the Ryder Cup. They said they already had a preferred magician who was Gary Jones, who is better than me as a performer. So I just said, yeah, okay, can I be your second preferred if he's not available? He is better than me, but if he's not available, I'll be the second on the list. And they said yes. So any gig that he couldn't do, which turned out to be a lot, was actually given to me. And then you take those gigs, and I had a lot of Asian weddings, which is a kind of a gold mine for magicians. If you don't do, Muslim or Sikh weddings, the families are so large in attendance that usually someone else is getting married within the next 6 months. The attendees, on average, I've found. So I would do an event and I'd have a laugh with everyone. I'd have a great time, do the tricks, and I'd be approached and I'd be like, okay, can you do my wedding here in 2 months' time? Whereas in the UK, usually weddings are planned every 2 years. So those weddings were huge. There's kind of like a good market. But yeah, get in there as the wedding coordinator, get those people, and I think you'll be good. Don't waste money on online advertising. That's number one.
So when I start these interviews, I don't necessarily know where they're going to go. Every guest I find has something really unique and very interesting to offer, something valuable. And now I know exactly where I want to go with this. So,
Okay.
marketing yourself is something that you are talking about, and I'm absolutely loving what you're saying. So, if we could just keep there for a little bit. Okay, let's say you book a time to meet with a wedding planner. How can you sell yourself?
There's a process to the wedding planners. So if you don't know who your wedding planners are, Google the venue you want to be at with the word LinkedIn following it. If that venue is on LinkedIn, you'll be able to find out who the wedding coordinator is or who the wedding planner is. If you can't find it, call the venue and you say, "Hey, I just wanted to know who your wedding planner was." And they'll say, "Oh, it's let's just make up a name. Let's say it's Stacy Clarke." "Oh, it's actually Stacy Clarke." "Okay, great, thank you." And you hang up. You've got, get a full list first. When you call back again, you say, "Hey, I'm returning Stacy's call." So people who know each other on first name terms, "Hey, I'm returning Stacy's call," they'll say, "No worries, I'll put you through." Whereas if you say, "Oh, actually, can I speak to Stacy Clarke, please, the wedding coordinator?" They might say, "Sorry, what's it regarding? Can you send her an email and she'll get back to you?" And they never do. People that listen to this that have done this route before, they never do. So you want to go in with an assumed kind of connection there already. "Hey, I'm just returning Stacy's call." They'll often put you straight through to her. She won't know who you are, so she'll feel guilty thinking that she's forgot who you are. You ask to book a meeting, but you don't say you're a magician. Don't say you're a magician. It's the worst thing you could do. She'll think that you're a client, and of course she'll book you in the meeting. Go to that meeting with the best tricks you've got. And when you get there, you kind of just got to play dumb. "Oh, so no, I'm a magician. I wanted to talk to you about this." "No, no, I didn't want to book a wedding. No, I'm a magician. I perform at weddings. I'm new to the area, or I'm just starting to do events in this area. I wanted to expand my portfolio, and I thought your venue would be perfect." And she's going to ask to see some tricks, or might already have a magician. That's when you say, "Okay, I want to be second on your preferred list." Or if that person's busy at a wedding, I can do your corporate events. And always look for what your selling point could be, your USP. Are you the local guy, so it's easier to call you last minute? Are you new to this, in which case there's no conflict with dates, your availability is good? Are you the cheapest because there's already a high-end guy and you're just starting out? So decide what you are and go to those meetings with that as your intention. And yeah, I think marketing yourself in that way will be really profitable.
I am so excited for people to hear this. This is
I hope
so
that answers
cool.
the question. I wasn't sure halfway through there whether that was
It
the
does.
answer to your
No,
question.
it does. It does. You documented the whole process, and you can't see me right now. People watching this can see me, but I am giddy this
Yeah,
whole time.
people might think I'm ignorant. They're like, "Oh, well, he's not even looking, looking him in the eye."
No, 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 no.
I can't. All I can see is a circle.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no worries. But
the way that we're recording this is
people who are watching this know that how giddy I looked hearing you say that, because that is so valuable. So valuable. Wow. Yeah. Thank you for that. That is really really awesome. Okay.
I could talk all day on this because I've got friends who are magicians who are doing things wrong, and I've got friends who are magicians that are doing things right.
Oh.
And
Oh.
there's a yeah, there's a huge thing nowadays that people think that everything has to be done online, and you're going to get more gigs in person. Going to see the manager of your local cocktail bar,
Yeah.
booking in that meeting, or just turning up. Just turn up. Hey, if a bar is a cocktail bar in the evening, the manager's going to be there from 7 p.m. and it's quiet enough for them to speak to you because there's not many clientele in there.
Mm-hmm.
So go in at 7 p.m. Get there at 7 p.m. "Hey, can I speak to the manager?" When you chat to them, "Hey, I noticed your venue was quite quiet this time." I think you'd really benefit from patrons seeing magic. It keeps people in bars for longer. And because it's, I do it on a Thursday night, I'm not going to charge you Saturday rates. So you're going to get me for much cheaper. and say, let me work one night for free. Let me show you how good it is. And I promise you, you and the people that come here will love it. And you've got to have that. Just fake the confidence. You've got to fake that confidence basically until you make it. But bet on yourself, go for it, and have the balls to get out there and speak to people face to face, because an email is easily ignored and a phone call is easily put on hold, or they'll take a message. Whereas in person, they kind of have to give you that time anyway. So go for it.
So what are your magician friends who are doing things wrong? What are they doing?
They do a lot of online advertising. They do a lot with PPC.
Yeah.
Google ads being the top of Google. When people are looking for products, it's actually Amazon that is the top search engine. So people... Is that a phone?
Yeah, it's an Amber Alert. There's a child abduction in the area.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
You've got child abduction alerts on your phone?
Well, I don't choose to enable them, but somehow the state can just get through to everyone's phone.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. It happens once every month or so.
Wow, that's mad, doesn't it? Well, we don't know about it here. I guess it probably happens over here too, but yeah, we don't get an update on our phone. That sounded like Armageddon for a second. I was like, okay.
I'm sorry. Hopefully I can edit that or something so it doesn't sound like Armageddon to everyone listening post-recording.
I say leave it in. Leave it in and just see what happens.
Surprise them. Fair enough.
Make sure everyone's paying attention. That'll wake them up.
Good. All right, we have their attention. Let's hit them with something really valuable.
Yeah, so online advertising, people on PPC. When was the last time you clicked on a Google ad?
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I'm asking you that question.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm realizing never.
Yeah, people are trained to ignore ads, so why spend your money there? And the other thing is the conversion rate online, on average, is like 2 to 3% for sales.
Yeah.
So imagine going out and meeting 50 people and offering them the same thing. Go to 50 different bars and only one person says yes. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't bother. That's too much of a time investment, and it's the same with money. Why offer that many people and pay for it, your service, if only, the likelihood is that 1 to 2 in every 100 are going to actually buy from you? And you think, okay, yes, that's okay because I'm only spending this on the ads in my area. But it's an average, so you might get 1 gig from it in the first day that it's up, but then you might not get another gig for another 2 months. Mm-hmm. You might just eat into your Google spend, the money you've got there. So yeah, people doing it wrong do things like that. They've got Facebook ads that are targeted at magicians. They've got PPC. They have websites with, a very unclear name. There's a very unclear naming convention now with performers, which is they'll use any other word but magician, whereas to a layman, they're looking for a magician.
Yeah. So
they're not going to book the prestidigitator or the professional opportunist because they don't know what that means. They need a magician, so that the likelihood is the people that book those guys with the crazy names just know them. They just know of them.
Yeah.
Or someone else recommends them. No one's Googling, deception expert for their wedding or for their bar.
Yeah.
It is a really bad thing to do. I know why they did it. They did it to set themselves aside from everyone else, but people don't know what that means. I think that we need, as an industry, please give up on naming yourself silly names.
Fair enough.
Just go with magician.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And there's a really interesting Murphy's lecture with Garrett Thomas and the person
Yeah.
interviewing him is Gregory Wilson, and they have very opposed thoughts on this. So you got to see them go back and forth. Geraint Thomas, who calls himself a magician, Gregory Wilson, who calls himself the honest con man, and they go back and forth for a while on why their naming scheme is better, and it's really fascinating to watch. So I guess the point there is, if anyone's interested in seeing that debate go further, I highly recommend that lecture.
Yeah, I think I'm going to check that out as well because I love Geraint Thomas.
Yeah, it's very cool, and I love Gregory Wilson.
Yeah, not to leave him out, not to leave him out, but Geraint Thomas was kind of like pushing that point as well. But yeah, no, they're both great.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm going to let you, if you want, say whatever you want. If there's something that you felt like you haven't had the opportunity to say, if there's something that you'd like to go over again, and then after that we can wrap it up.
I wanted to actually ask you a question.
Oh.
What are your goals? Do you want to be the voice of the magic community, bringing people together with information like this, or have you always wanted to be a performer? I'm really interested.
Okay. So, I'll preface this with I have a lot more practice interviewing than being interviewed, but we'll go for it. Magic used to be very much an apprentice relationship, where to learn magic you would walk into a brick and mortar store and just start talking to magicians, and we've lost that because of the internet, so which isn't a bad thing, but it's just the relationships have changed. But I think learning good magic is still done best through apprentice mentorship relationships, and I want to find a way to capture that online so people have a place to go where they can get sound advice, because right now I think we're flooded with double lift tutorials on YouTube, which are fine, but they're not getting to the heart of magic performance advice, and I guess that's what I'm trying to capture.
What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on teaching things on YouTube?
I actually don't have a problem with it as long as it's what I consider to be magic public domain, which double lift falls into that. I don't think you should be teaching Daniel Madison Angle Z, but I think teaching a double lift there's no problem there. The problem that I have with it is that there's 150,000 people who have taught the double lift, and there's like 3 that are worth watching. You're going to be flooded with a lot of bad advice, and then you'll stumble across a good tutorial every now and then that's worth watching.
I think that's where production value comes into it, is amateurs look amateur.
Yeah.
And professionals look professional. So if you see a tutorial that has a great intro and good lighting and great camera quality and it's shot in 4K, it's probably someone who's thought about it, put time into it, and they're doing it well.
Yes.
And if you see a guy in his bedroom cross-legged on the floor, there's M&M's spilled all over the carpet, his mum walks in halfway through the tutorial, don't take that guy's advice. Yeah. Throw your cards in the bin. It'd be more valuable.
The problem that I don't have a solution to yet is, what is magic public domain? There's no clear line, and I don't think there's an easy way to draw that, because there are people selling their double lift tutorials. It doesn't mean that they own the double lift, so it's kind of hard to figure out where that line becomes, where are you infringing upon someone's intellectual property, and what is a fundamental base knowledge that anyone has a right to.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm getting sick of it, like people starting YouTube channels as a way, kind of, it's an easy route to give away free tutorials on other people's creations.
Yeah.
In order to get, internet famous. I think that's something that bothers me. It's not that they do it, and it's not that other people can learn it. It's that it's cheap. It's a cheap, easy route. Yeah. It's nothing of themselves. They're not given their own spin or creativity. They're purely just taking. They just take.
Yeah.
And it's false generosity. They seem like they're giving something of themselves, and they seem like they're doing a good job. But their motives are very clear. You can see when someone celebrates on the subscribers. Great guys, thanks. 1,000 subscribers, huge. Thank you so much. And it's a race to 5,000. Tell all your friends. Okay, that's someone who is just after those numbers now. They're just pulled into that cycle. They'll do anything for it. So it's not that people do it that bothers me. It's that people don't do it well enough. They just rip off things that are already out there, already taught, and give it away for free as a way to get famous.
Yep.
So yeah, it's super frustrating.
There was a tutorial I saw that was so good. It was on Alex Pandrea's channel, and he had David Williamson on. And I've seen so many tutorials on YouTube, but in that one David Williamson thing, he taught the classic force and what is it called? Like a slip force. And he had his own creative subtleties that made it a million times better than anything I've ever seen apart from that. And it was just because he had something to value that was actually himself. He had something to give, and it wasn't greedy. He wasn't taking from someone else and re-giving it. It was his own.
And who was this? Was this Pandrea or was this David Williamson who did it?
Williamson.
So I think that's the distinction as well. Is Williamson doesn't do this every week.
Right.
So when he does that, you can tell there's an incredible value there because he's not doing a weekly tutorial.
Yeah.
And there's not to say there's not value. I know Xavier Spade does tutorials, and he's one of the
Spade is an anomaly.
He's one of the best sleight of hand guys in the world, and great guy. Every time that I'm in New York, he's just so generous. Hey, I'll pick you up at your hotel. We'll go here and we'll do this and hang out and grab a coffee or a beer. The guy is, like you said, he's an anomaly. But I think his motives are different. I think his motives are that he was that good and he wasn't known for it. He wasn't respected for it. I think if anything, like his motives are, I put all this time into it and I do this tuition and I do all of these moves and I do them well. I do them. He does them better than most people on the planet, and nobody knew. Before he came out with that, it's only like a select few people that understood how good he was.
Yeah.
And everyone else just said, "Oh, Tony Chang's the best in the world." And you realize his quiet mate Xavier Spade was actually just as good, if not better.
Yeah. So motives are a big thing that separate quality from trash. It's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to ask you, what's your favorite magic effect? Because I don't want this interview to people just to walk away from this and think, okay, Geraint, doesn't really like magic because that was 90% marketing. But I'm interested to know.
You know what? I think that's what's valuable to working magicians. But fair enough. My favorite marketing effect, magic effect. I have to be honest. I do 2-card Monty a lot.
That's my opener.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. As I guess as a tip for people on 2-card Monty, I always take out 2 cards as I'm going through, as I'm doing the setup, because I do it in front of people. So
have you had a deck of cards in your hand the whole time?
Yeah. I always have a deck of cards in my hand.
Yeah.
And some guy, I was with the E team in Toronto, and it was like a police officer, and he came up to me. He was like, "Hey, what are you doing over there?" I felt as guilty as someone dealing drugs for a second. I was like, "Oh my God, what am I doing wrong? I'm from the UK. Please don't kill me." And he was just asking, about the I forgot that I had a deck. I could have just turned around and been, flourishing, but I forgot because they're always there. They're always in my hand.
Yeah.
So the actual setup for 2-card Monty, I take out 2 cards first. I'm sure loads of people do this, and I put them in my pocket. And then I go into 2-card Monty, and then when I do the final phase, I say turn them over. I palm off the other 2 cards, and I push down the 2 cards that were in my pocket flush, and I leave these half sticking out. So the reveal's done
Oh.
under their hand, they're blown away by that. And then I spread the deck and I say, actually, the Ace of Hearts and Ace of Diamonds aren't actually in the deck. Then they're blown away again. And then, where did they go? Where did they go? Like, do you remember I took out 2 cards from the deck? And I keep my hands on me the entire time. I took out 2 cards from the deck before the trick even started. And they add it up in their own mind. Like, no, 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 no. And I turn my body and they can see 2 cards half sticking out. And then they get them. I say, I won't touch them, you grab them. They grab them and, it's like a third reveal. So I recommend everyone does it because I always think good magic is when the spectator's expectation matches the outcome. Yeah. So if you've got an effect and you tear a card and then you snap your fingers and the card changes, the torn card changes, that wasn't their expectation. It's impressive. Oh, wow, okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Polite clap. If you do Danny D'Ortiz's thing where you tear the card and you place it in their hand and you close their hand around it, you say, what do you want to happen to the card? And they say, I'll put it back together again. And then they open their hand and it's restored. Now that reaction's huge. Not because it's in their hand, not because it was signed, it's because their expectations of what were about to happen perfectly aligned with what actually did happen. And I think that's like a lesson for Magic. So having the cards appear in your pocket at the end, having them appear under the glass doesn't make sense if you never kind of baited them into thinking it beforehand. Don't say anything. Just as you're doing your setup for the trick, just take it and just put them in your pocket. Don't say anything about it. I think a lot of magicians try and overprove as well. They'll have a deck of cards in their hand. They'll talk for ages, and then they'll say, "Okay, look, these are shuffled now. Yes."
Yeah.
You don't even. I cringe every time I see it. You just need to chat. Hey, can I borrow you for a second? I went, just shuffle these up. If you just grab a card. You don't have to overprove and make everything apparent because people aren't stupid. They'll see if you shuffle it or not. Yeah. They'll see if you put 2 cards in on it. You don't need to say everything.
That's a good point. And when you were saying, when you're doing that little example, these are shuffled, right? You might as well be holding a knife up to their throat, right? Shuffled.
Exactly. I didn't even show them. I don't ever show them. I've got a trick. Jack Black, where they're stacked, and I just dribble them. I say they're in no particular order, and they are. You couldn't be, you couldn't be any more wrong. That they definitely are in order. They're stacked, but I literally just they're properly stacked. I just shuffle the top couple and say they're in no particular order, and I'll dribble.
Yeah.
By dribbling it fastly. They're not able to see there. It's a stack, but there is. And people always overthink things. I know that there was one comment in the Cypher Facebook group for the Cypher app that I put out with Lloyd and Will, and it was, hey, there's a white flash just as you open the app. What do I do? My answer was nothing. Just don't do anything. No one is gonna, no one's gonna say anything or do it. They don't know what's about to happen. No one's backtracking on them. Hey, I saw a white flash, And if you've got a card effect, and you take the cards out of the box, and then you do a card effect, and it disappears from the deck, and it appears inside the box. That's really impressive. You don't need to tip out the cards from the box and then finger it and be like, look, it's empty. Because people don't care. I see so many magicians doing, over-proving things. It's crazy. Yeah. Look, you can see inside. Everyone see inside. It's empty.
Yeah.
If you tip out the cards from a box and you throw it over to the side, and then they shuffle, they do this, and you pick up the box. You reach over and you pull out a card from the box. It's the exact same effect.
Yep, yep.
It's the exact same effect.
That's a lesson that I'm learning. I'm watching people like Denny D'Ortiz who have that very laid back, whatever happens, happens style. Da 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 da. One more, no less. You take, I take. It doesn't matter. Well, you want one card, two card, whatever. Like it's so laid back. Whatever happens, happens, and that's what makes the Magic so strong at the end.
I actually got out of thanks to Danny D'Ortiz, I got out of a tough grind. I was performing. I can't remember what it was. It was a lecture that I was giving at a Magic Society, and I got a guy up and I said, you deal cards to the table. Stop wherever you want. And he stopped. I said, choose a pile. He chose a pile. I said, okay, deal those in 2 piles. This is going to be the pile we don't use. This will be the pile we use. And, wherever you like to deal them. And then he dealt the card that I needed, the last card, wrong. So I just did the Danny D'Ortiz thing. I was like, okay, cool, you happy? And he was like, yeah. I was like, actually, do you just want to swap those cards over? And I just nodded. And he was like, yeah, okay then. I was like, cool, free choice. You could have swapped them, you could have kept them the same.
Yeah.
But it was just said in such a casual way, swap them over, and the trick went right because I needed it to, and I was casual, and it was a direction as well as a question. It was, do you want to just take the top card and put it in the other pile? And then as soon as he did, I was like, oh, you don't have to, it's your choice, you can keep them the same, it's up to you. And it's a really important lesson, I think. The Spanish School of Magic, those guys over there are just probably the best in the world for actual, casual nature, their attitude to everything.
Yes, and it's something that I've seen Peter Turner do. I think that studying, so Peter Turner's all about the language that you use, and he uses language to fool people more than cards or anything like that. He can play with their memories and just his wordage. He's so deliberate about that. And I've seen him do something like that where he needs them to deal the cards face down, and he'll ask them, do you want to deal them face down or face up? And if they say face up, he'll say, perfect. Actually, do them face down, so that way you don't react when you see your card. They have a choice, but they don't. He's so clear, and he's going to get what he wants, but he's going to make them feel like they could have said anything.
Yeah, he's got a great. Oh, another child's been abducted.
I guess. Oh my gosh, there's the same one who's been abducted twice in a day.
If people weren't listening before, that'll sound like a really weird reference.
I don't know why people would jump in halfway, but that's what you get for not listening to the whole thing.
But yeah, hopefully the children of... Where are you from? Is it New York?
McLean. McLean, you have no idea where that is. Virginia.
No.
So,
McLean. Every time I hear the word McLean, I think of Die Hard.
East Coast, McLean, Virginia, Northern Virginia, near Washington.
Okay,
DC.
children of McLean, Virginia, watch out, because there's someone... Even in the last hour that we've been doing this, 2 children have been abducted.
Yes, it's a scary time.
Something needs to be done. Can we all start a support group?
Full of magicians, only magicians. I don't know why. All right, so I'll give you another chance to, if there's anything you want to talk about that you haven't been able to say, or something you want to emphasize again. Otherwise, we'll close it out.
No, I think for magicians, they need to think about themselves a bit more. Worrying less about what's on the market at the time. Worry more about where your style is going. You don't necessarily need the newest thing or the thing that Justin Willman just did on TV, for example. You don't need the newest dynamo trick, or you kind of, not everything suits everyone. Mm-hmm. And being the best magician you can be is all about, having a repertoire that totally suits your style. So I don't know, don't be a copy. Don't just do Omnideck and sponge balls because people tell you that it's commercial and it works. Some of the best reactions I've had are things with mobile phones, things just jazzing, turning a card over in the deck, or palming off a named card, or, dropping a card behind someone's back at a table and then holding their elbow when they sit. If you hold someone's elbow and you get them to stand up, they can't turn around. So
I'm
because
not
you like,
familiar with that actually. This is new to me.
so I don't know whose effect it is. I didn't learn it anyway. I just thought everyone knew. Um, as an out at gigs, if you had cards, they get sticky, or you lose a card, or something goes wrong.
Yeah.
I would look through the deck, and I would say to someone, "Okay, sorry, what card was it?" And they'd say, like, let's say they say six of clubs. You cut it out. You're like, I don't think so. I don't think this is six of clubs in here. Do your palm, place it on the table, and as you put your hand behind them, you're just going to drop. So imagine that person's facing towards the deck. You just drop it between the back of their chair and their body. And they say, okay, snap your fingers, and it's on top. They snap their fingers, it's not on top. Okay, it's on bottom. It's not on bottom. Okay, wait, have a spread through. They spread through, it's not there. Then you grab their elbow, the one closest to you, like lightly, not grab like aggressive, but actually just stand up for me a second. And as you hold their elbow, just gently, they can't turn around. So unless they go this way, which never really happens because you're kind of like directing, they go with the flow of standing up. So you helpfully grab the elbow. When they turn around now, when you get them to turn around now, the card would have slipped from where it was. It would have like fallen down flat. So you can tell you were sitting on the entire time. I used to use it as an out all the time. It's not an amazing effect. It's just a cool way of getting out, and there's a little bit of psychology in there with their elbow that kind of helps with the misdirection.
Okay.
And so many times I've had people complete it for me. They're like, oh my God, how did you get it underneath me? I can't believe I was sitting on that the entire time. So it's just, like a cool little way to get an out, which is easy. Anyone can do that. Anyone can palm.
Sure, that's very cool. All right, G. Clarke, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can they find you?
They can find me in South Wales in the UK. I'll be in look for a hipster coffee shop, and I'll be there working on my Instagram.
Yeah, let's try some online plugs.
Yeah, online platforms I don't really care for anymore. You can add me as a friend on Facebook, but I've hit my limit. My fan page, you can message me there if you want. It's facebook.com/Geraint Clarke official. Instagram at Geraint_Clarke. But if you really want to interact with me, get to my blog, sign up to the mailing list. When an email comes out, just press reply. That's my actual email address that it comes from. So, reply and we can have a conversation. And that is how, you can get in touch. I can't add any more friends on Facebook. So if you didn't make the cut, I've got to wait for some people to delete me before I can add any other. But yeah, that's probably the easiest route. Send me an email.
Sure. All right, great. Thank you so much for coming, guys.
Where can people find you?
Oh, good call. Wherever they're watching this. So, YouTube, Instagram, Magic Mind is the name of what we're doing. The website, magicmindcenter.com. Facebook, we've got a little group, so I know a lot of magicians grow up, they don't have any magicians around them, and I'll tell you that if you're nervous or you need a little support system around you, a group of magicians can be a valuable tool. So come join our Facebook group if you need anything like that, and we will be there for you to answer any questions or help you however we can. That's the Magic Mind members group on Facebook. That's everything.
And if everyone gives Christoph $1, everyone will listen to Christoph $1. He can get himself to the session convention in the UK, where he can meet all of us, which would be awesome. That'd be amazing to meet you in real life. So yeah, thank you very much for inviting me on. Well, it's super flattering. I didn't think I was worthy.
You are.
Especially following Lloyd. So yeah, I appreciate your time, definitely.
I appreciate
especially on a Sunday.
Oh, you're being so kind. Thank you. You're the guest. Thank you so much for coming on.